In this video I'm going to talk about Python 3.11 and basically what are the new features. It is not yet released, it is still in alpha 3, so it will be pretty early to try it out, but let's see. There are some features which are helpful, and so right now for testing purposes I have set up one dev container and one is my regular VS Code. And the only thing that you need to care about is like I have two VS Code, one runs Python 3.11 and then there is another which runs Python 3.9, and you can also see the interpreter here, Python 3.11, Python 3.9. I have chosen different themes so it becomes easier, so that it becomes easier to distinguish. And now let's try out our first feature. So the first feature is error locations are enhanced. So interpreter will now point to the exact expression instead of just the line. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Like instead of not pointing to specific variables and statements, it will now point to them. And let me show you an example. If we have a as a string and we index 3, which is definitely wrong because a is of length 1, we cannot index 3. Now if I run this in Python 3.11, then it will actually show me like where the errors are, and if I run the same thing in Python 3.9, then it doesn't tell me, it just tells me the line. Here it also points to the variable, and you can also see like this will also work if I do this. So in this case the first indexing will work because it is of length 1, but the second will fail. So if I run this, then you can see like string index is out of range but at this place, not at this place. And with the same thing in Python 3.9, it is kind of ambiguous. Is this one failing or is the next index failing? So I think this is a really good feature, especially for the beginners. And okay, it will also work for divisions. That's good. This is some internal stuff. So it says that the disk usage of compiled Python files will be higher, but we don't need to worry about that. Generally we don't care about the size of the files, and these are mostly internals which won't affect how we use Python. And exceptions can be enriched with a string note. Okay, it is none by default but can be set to string. Okay, so if I raise an exception, we'll actually first create an exception. We will have an exception and we can raise it, and it says now we can set a note, my new exception note. And if I run this, okay, then we see the note on the next line, and my exception text. Let's see where these two. Okay, there is a text and there is the note, and in Python 3.9 we shouldn't see the note. Yep, we don't see it, but this is, I think, not a feature that was required, because you can always do something like this /n and my new note. So now it goes to the next line, but the only place where it can be useful is when you need to pass the information. So what do I mean by that? So instead of seeing the note in the error, you can, so whenever you try catch something, so let's say you catch an error, exception is what is in Python, except, then you can take a look at the note, and the actual code which raised this error can attach a note, so you can like pass the information with the exception. in a standard way. But yeah, we will have to see like how actually this gets used. But I don't think this is as good of a feature as this one. Well, actually still I'm welcoming this, but yeah, generally I really like the exceptions. And other language changes. Okay, asynchronous comprehensions are now allowed inside comprehensions in asynchronous functions. Okay, so if you don't know comprehensions, they are like I for I in range 3. This syntax is known as comprehension. So we can see like async is also supported. Now let's try that out. Async my comp. I for I in. Well, actually first let me create an async for loop. What is the easiest way for that? Sorry. Oh, I think the yield will work. Async def my generator. And for I in range 10 we will yield I. So now we can call that function with async for. And now let me execute. Okay, so it prints 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is the regular code. It will work the same in Python 3.9, but as far as I can understand, now it also supports comprehensions. So if I print I async for I in my chain, then it will work, and in Python 3.9 I think it will raise an error. I have never tried it in Python 3.9. Okay, it works. Then what's the difference? Okay, asynchronous comprehensions are now allowed inside comprehensions in asynchronous functions. Okay, I think it is for nested comprehensions. So I for k in range 10. Okay, so it is like first for comprehension and then the next one. Is this the one they are talking about? No, this also works. Okay, maybe this one. I can't actually understand like what's the new feature, because to me it seems like it will be working in the same way for both of those. Oh, yep. So this is the feature. So in a comprehension, if you put another async comprehension, then it didn't used to work in older Python versions, but now it works. Well, actually I never got to use this, so that seems more like a bug fix. Type error is now raised. Okay, this is internal. This won't most probably affect how we use it. Okay, most of these seems a new hashing algorithm is added. Okay, let's see this one. So when an active exception is re-raised by a raise statement with no parameters, The tracebreak attached to this exception is now always sys.exe info1.tracebreak. This means that change made to the tracebreak in the current except clause are reflected in the re-raised exception. So here they say like the tracebreak is being maintained, but the last time I tried it I couldn't find a difference between the older versions and newer ones. So I will try to find that now. So first we will create a function that will raise an exception. Okay, and now we will try catch it. Okay, now let's see it in newer Python. Let's see it in older one. So this is similar, right? So the only difference is this exception pointers, but other than that it seems pretty similar. It still doesn't point to line 7 in Python 3.11. Okay, so if I print the tracebreak, import tracebreak, print tve dot tracebreak. Okay, so I will not raise it, but I will just try to print the tracebreak that is attached with the exception. So in this we see line 7, which is this one, line 4. Okay, and here we see the same thing. I don't know why it doesn't show me line 9. Okay, if I call this in another function, which will just raise it, and I call that function here. In Python 3.11 it shows that we called myRaiser, then raise exec, then the raise exception, and Python 3.9 shows the same error. Okay, it doesn't actually seem like I can. When an active exception is re-raised by a raise statement with no parameters, is now always. This, maybe I'm misunderstanding this statement, but it seems like now the tracebreak will always point to the raise statement, but that doesn't seem to be the case, because it is not pointing to line 7 at all, if that is what it meant. Changes made to the tracebreak. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the namings. Tracebreak with a state trace, are they two different things? Okay, let me put this inside a try except. Maybe that will show us what's the difference. If I raise it there, raise it here. So in Python 3.11 it just shows raise exe and then raise exception. I think it will be similar, yeah. And if I try to print the exception traceback, then what happens? Similar. Okay. It's re-raised by a raise, so we are re-raising that, we are raising it and then raising it again. Well, actually this is re-raise because it was raised in the raise exe first and then we are raising it again. By a raise statement with no parameters, so we don't have any parameters. The traceback attached to the exception is now always sys.exe info 1.traceback. Okay, I think this we might, okay, no, nope, we still have the same error. Traceback made to, should we try making changes to the traceback? Actually, let's move on to the next features if there are any, then we will spend more time trying to figure out what actually is happening there. So the interpreter states representation now has only the exe value field. Okay, this I didn't knew. So this seems like from reading here that two variables exe, sorry, where did it go? Exe traceback is not defined anywhere, but it is available here. So I think like whenever you catch anything, then this variable is available. Let me try that. I think this was like before Python 3.11. This is always there, but I never got to use it. So if I print exe traceback, what happens? Okay, no, this is traceback. Oh, they are getting it from the sys.exe info. Okay, sorry, I missed that. So these both seem related to something that I don't understand. Okay, we will get back to these both later. Fractions, style and fraction. Okay. Okay, this doesn't seem very, yeah, I don't use fractions very much, but let's see. So it says like if you create fraction from a string, then previously the underscore wasn't accepted, but now it is. Yep, that's pretty much it. By the way, if you don't know, the underscore is very useful when you want to write long numbers. So it can be used instead of commas, and Python will completely remove these. And these work in any Python version, even the older ones. But from string to fraction transformation now supports these two. Int method. Okay, this is pretty internal, so yeah, this is like, it has a function that makes it supports int or not. Well, actually, let's see what is a supports int. I have never used. Typing dot supports int. What does, oh, it can be converted to int. Okay, that one. So can it be converted to int, like 3.3 or some? Can we convert? Yeah. So this is also like, string also has an int function. Well, actually, let me try to show you. So you have seen like the len function. So you can call any list with len, and similarly, whenever you call any such functions, most of the time there is a method associated with the list itself. So in this case, it will be underscore underscore len and then underscore underscore. So these are known as dunder methods in Python. So here you are using dunder len, and if you call this, then it will give the same results. So it is similar, like when you do int 3, it is basically calling 3 dot dunder int. Okay, no, basically no. So string doesn't support int, but fractions do. Let me see if float supports it. Okay, yeah, floats have this. So if I have typing dot supports int, then string will not be there. Yep, float will be there, integer will be there, and now fraction will also be there after the newer change. That's pretty much it. Okay, I have never used the inspect library much, but it seems like it will return all the members. So it will basically, inspect is used for getting data about the Python code. So if you want to know like which are the classes defined in a module, then you can use inspect library, and sometimes to get code of the actual functions. So this I used to use when I didn't knew how to navigate between the codes. So now I have like VS Code setup, the Vim setup. So if I press GD, then I go to the definition of the function. But when I didn't knew it, I used to use inspect to sometimes get the code of that function. Yeah, so basically here it says like if you call this function, then it will not do a lookup. So it means it will be a little bit faster, I think. I don't know the exact detail why it is done, but it seems like it will have little bit of performance improvements. But I won't talk much because I don't have the internal ideas about this. Okay, a new function exp2. CVRT. Cube root is a new function. The behavior of two corner cases was changed for consistencies. The operation now return inf. Okay, so this might make some code fail that used to work previously. So yeah, actually this is the only breaking change that we have seen until now, if I'm not wrong. Well, actually I don't understand these two, so I can't say about those. Well, actually yeah, these are also breaking. If someone catches this error, then now this error is thrown. Okay, this is non-breaking, like this is just for user interface. Note is also non-breaking. Okay, let's go back. Where were we? Yeah, so now 0 to the power minus infinite is infinite in Python. Operator.call function, which mimics the function call. So you can call the object or you can pass that to objector.call. I think Node.js has similar, or the JavaScript in general has some similar function. I don't remember the name. Okay, so crypt_gen random is deprecated and bcrypt_gen random is here. Well, actually what is the difference here? I think I will have to dig deeper into the crypt to understand what's the difference. But yeah, this has been, even this won't make a difference in our use case. SQLite 3. I will leave this, like these are getting way more specific. And now derives field from the value. Okay, this I think I can explain. If I comment, so if I print sys.exe info, then it prints the class of exception, the exception, and the traceback object. And if I make any change to the traceback here, let's say I set it to 3, will it let me? I don't know. It won't. Okay, yeah, we can do it none. So if I set it to none, then we see none here, and I think in Python 3.9 it will still point to the original traceback. And the reason for that is, as it says, like the type and traceback, both the first value and the last one, these are now derived from the exception itself. So this will be get from the value, the exception that is being raised. So when an exception is modified, as we are doing here, we are removing the traceback, while it is being handled, the changes are reflected in the result of subsequent calls. So yeah, like as we set none, now as soon as we call exec_info, it didn't show me that the traceback is none in Python 3.9, but in Python 3.10 we can see that this is none. And now I think we can go back to our previous, yes, this particular change. So if I raise the exception here, I think it will still keep the previous traceback, and it seems like yes. But if I raise it here, then it doesn't have the traceback because we have set that to none. So this was this new change. Okay, now I understood it. So yeah, any change made to traceback is now reflected. Okay. Okay, so time dot sleep is also now more specific. Like it works, it will be more. It will try to work on more precision if it can. It will, yeah, it will try to use resolution of 1 nanoseconds if it is available. Okay, for Windows, I don't know. Unicode database has been updated. I don't know what the heck this is. Optimizations. Okay, these are like pretty internal changes and mostly we won't notice them. Unit test. Okay, some functions have changed, removed. I never used these functions. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it on like basics, and I know I have lived some of them, but those were like way too specific to deal with. So actually we did leave one feature that we had left for later. Okay, the interpret state. Oh, I see. So okay, now I also understand this one. So previously the interpreter had three states: the exception, its class, and the traceback. So that's why when we did sys exe.info, it still had the previous traceback because this was not updated. But in the newer versions, it only keeps exception. So that's what it says here. Now has only the exe value. Now it only has the value here. So when you call exeinfo, then it has to derive the traceback from the exception, and that's why it is updated. So now interpreter doesn't store the traceback and class information in its own state, it is attached with the exception only. Okay, finally I understood these two. Yeah, I would say that's pretty much it for this video. See you in the next one.